Back, sleepyheads, to another episode of Sleepy Aliens Perspective. I am your host, H. Leigh. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. So, tonight I want to give a little Pride Month cautionary tale. So, I just recorded an episode about Father's Day and these cupcakes that were designed as ties, and how that made me sad because clearly we're still limiting the male identity to not only just being a provider, but we as a society are continuing to repress their ability to balance the feminine and masculine energies within them because they can't even embrace their feminine side. And I even remind people that a tie is the white collar chain, right? Let's not forget that. Excuse me. But that story made me think about something that happened last summer, my first summer working at the grocery store. It was a really hot day, and something that I've noticed working at the grocery store is that the warmer it is, the busier we are, the more people eat, the orders are big, and it's just all day. It's nonstop. So I think despite the day being really busy, I was feeling pretty good. I was on register 5, which is a pretty busy register. The store I work at, we have really nice windows, so the sun was shining through. This 10-year-old kid approaches my register by himself, and he's like, "Hey, excuse me, I can't find my dad. Can you please help me?" And I said, yeah. I was like, what's your dad's name? So I paged the dad 2 times, and I tell the kid just to, stay by my register and wait. And so he actually just sits on the counter, and he just starts talking to me, and he tells me that he loves dancing, and I can already see that the kid is very comfortable in his feminine energy, and he's embraced that in different aspects. But yeah, so maybe I want to say eight whole minutes passed by. I paged the dad twice. No one came to the register. The grocery store that I work at, it's spacious, but it's not that big. You can't really get that lost in it. And there's so many parents and workers there. I feel like there's a decent amount of people who look out for kids that are in the store, or who are just mindful of kids in the store, right? So the fact that his dad hadn't come up to the register yet, we were like, that's really weird. So then the store manager gets involved, and he has the kid move away from my register because it's starting to get a little busy, and he's kind of I don't know, I guess I didn't want him to be a distraction. But I just wanted him to feel comfortable because I can tell he was nervous. And he even told me that when he goes to the store with his dad, he'll run away sometimes or get lost, but his dad will usually find him. And so maybe for a second I thought, I was like, maybe the dad's trying to teach him some lesson about running off and not just going wherever he wants and doing whatever, That was a thought that I had. But then I say another 7 minutes goes by, and then the kid, he's sitting off to the side of the registers by the windows. He looks over and he just shouts, "That's my dad." And his dad is getting in his car, and he's seconds away from driving off. So the store manager runs out, and he gets the dad and tells him hey, your son is still in the store. And so the dad comes in, and he doesn't say, "Oh buddy, there you are." The dad's like, "Oh, come on," it was really weird and sad to see. And we were all pretty sure that we just had witnessed this dad trying to abandon his son. That's what it looked like to us, and we could be wrong. Maybe this dad was grieving, maybe this dad had a lot on his mind. I don't know. I know parents forget kids and leave them places sometimes, and I know parents have a lot on their minds, and they don't really have that time to process their life and be alone. like they used to when they were younger, before they had kids probably, right? So there could have been other things going on, and this interpretation of this event could completely be wrong. But, my intuition, everybody, we got the sense that this dad was ashamed that his son was feminine, and, I don't know what he thought was going to happen if he left his kid at the store. It was really weird, and it was sad to see, but it's a really good example of the impact of society not allowing men to balance their feminine energy, and not only balance it but embrace it and process their emotions, and to cry, to say they need help, to not have to be in this constant energy of strength and action, and it's interesting when you think about it, because I feel like women are definitely expected to, of course, be feminine, focus on beauty and love and dating and all that stuff. But women are also raised to be very tough, to take a lot, to do a lot, to learn a lot, to put up with a lot, to internalize a lot, to repress. And so in a lot of ways, women get in touch with their masculine energy because of the amount of action and strength it takes, to be a woman in the modern workplace, to just be in these spaces where their gender is going to be challenged and manipulated against them in a sense, right? So it's weird that we don't leave that room as a society for men, right? It's interesting. And maybe, I think in a lot of ways it's gotten a lot better. There's men out there expressing when they're in pain, expressing when they feel betrayal and, anxiety and all these things. So I think in a lot of ways it's getting better. But that core root of a man rejecting the feminine essence of his own child is that man rejecting his own feminine essence that he never got to experience. And so seeing that dad almost like leave his son, it just made me think of the generational negative pattern that just created in the chain. And I hope that, he can find a way to heal that so that he doesn't instill more shame and, more shame in the bloodline for, feminine energy and repressing that energy and rejecting that energy as well. It's interesting, it's sad, and it's something that we don't think about. But I just wanted to have this little Pride Month cautionary tale, and I think hopefully this will inspire dads out there to find ways to get in touch with their feminine energy. And you don't have to put on lipstick and wear a dress to do that. You can just express your emotions, because feminine energy is love. So express your emotions. Find ways to express love in this world. And that is you spreading on that feminine energy. And remember, you have to be able to do that for yourself as well. And a lot of men aren't taught how to nurture themselves. And the essence of feminine energy, it's like it nourishes your roots, your roots of security. And men place all of their security in their masculine energy, right? Instead of both their masculine and feminine energy. And their ability to express their emotions and process their emotions, and their ability to take action, all of that has to work in conjunction. You can't just take action. This is why men get stuck. Well, one, they clog up their system and they block off emotions, but they leave room for all of these ego-driven emotions of pleasure and lust and greed and superficiality, all of these facades of the male identity. Yeah, I don't know. There's just so many layers to that. But I hope dads out there, find ways to embrace their feminine energy. And if you're struggling with, seeing a feminine energy in your son, focus on why that offends you and focus on you getting help before you think that your child needs help, because they don't need help. They're doing exactly what they should be doing, and that's exploring their identity. And their identity should have no limits and no guards as a child. And no one should ever have that even as an adult. But, society will find a way to repress that too. But, yeah, I just want to make a short Pride Month episode, but I hope you guys found this to be insightful. And I hope this opens up conversations. And I hope some dads out here hear this and, I don't know, see this as a cautionary tale. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting me. And I will see you next time, sleepyheads. Have a good night.